Welcome back. You are watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. In the next half hour, we'll see what's making the headlines with journalist and author Christina Patterson and former Conservative Special Advisor Anita Boateng. So let's see what's on some of those front pages for you now. Well, The Observer leads with an investigation into online attacks designed to discredit Harvey Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre. Prince Andrew is facing humiliation in the Commons, according to the Sunday Times, with MPs set to discuss stripping his titles for good. On the front of the Mail on Sunday, Rachel Reeves could hit homeowners with a new mansion tax in next month's budget. 90% of councils will be housing migrants by the end of the year. That's the lead on the front of the Sunday Express. The Sunday Telegraph writes that think tanks are warning Sir Keir Starmer his workers' rights bill will cripple the job market. And the Daily Star leads with the headline, Privates on Parade, and says there's been a shocking increase in the UK troops accused of flashing. Yes, that is a story which we probably won't be covering. Tonight we're joined by Anita Boateng and Christina Patterson. Welcome to both of you. Let's start with the Telegraph front page, the headline there, Starmer told to bin workers' rights. Labour's workers' rights bill risks crippling the jobs market. The party's favourite think tank has warned in a fresh challenge to Sir Keir Starmer. This is the Resolution Foundation. Christina.
Oh, poor old Labour. What a mess it's in. I don't know how they keep going. I mean, for Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves to get up every day and go to work and carry on with it all must be quite the challenge. The latest warning is from the Resolution Foundation, which is very close to the Labour Party, and a number of former workers from the Revolution Foundation have gone to work at number 10. So this will be very unwelcome. But everything they do is wrong. I mean, everything they say they will do has a downside, and none of it seems to have much of an upside. And here, it was a kind of plank of their manifesto that they would increase workers' rights, and that was something that Angela Rayner was incredibly keen on, that workers would have rights from day one, in a bid to combat the kind of precariat and the sense that people were part of a gig economy where they had no rights. But, of course, that makes things more difficult for employers, and employers are already having a very tough time. I think more than 100,000 jobs have already gone in the past year. And, of course, if you give workers a right from day one, that just adds to the burden on employers. So I think ideally number 10 would ditch this, but of course they're trying to ditch half their manifesto promises, and whatever they do that's popular with one group is extremely unpopular with another. And of course the people it will be incredibly unpopular with is the trade unions, and they are a central plank of funding and support. So I really sympathise with Labour on this. You know, I think everybody would in theory want workers to have rights from day one. But of course, if you're an employer already facing increased bills on every front, and increased energy bills and national insurance and all the rest of it, that just adds to the weight of your responsibilities. So it's very difficult.
The Resolution Foundation saying that they back major parts of the legislation, including proposals to enhance sick pay and eliminate most zero-hours contracts. But it warned that changes to unfair dismissal rules risk damaging the economy. So it's sections of the proposed legislation that it's warning against.
Yes, but it's the sort of knotty and most interesting part of this legislation, and certainly the part that Rayner was a big champion of. And I think we're going to talk a bit more about some of the fallout from the loss of Rayner, which, remember that, was about 6 scandals ago.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting about this is they talk about the fact that this is going to inhibit hiring and is getting the protection flexibility balance wrong. And that is, like, in the context of falling jobs and slowing hiring, like, this is a real warning. And we know that the man who's sort of at the centre of the budget organisation right now, Torsten Bell, ostensibly the pensions minister, but effectively the chancellor, who knows, is sort of working away at this. And it kind of heightens the sense that actually there are no good options for the government. And I think that, Christina, you're totally right about the politics of this. I think that without someone like Rayner perhaps pushing this and ensuring that it stays exactly as it is, we might see some weakening, because this is a real government backer signalling the alarm bell about a key plank of their legislation.
Are you both predicting U-turns-ish on this?
I wouldn't predict anything in the current climate, but on balance, I would say probably a U-turn.
Yes, I think so. I think that, you know, Peter Kyle is in the business department. He's a practical man. And I wonder if this is rolling the pitch for a slight softening of that legislation from the Res Foundation.
Meanwhile, Sunday Times, more bad news for Labour. Labour has endured another Hartlepool moment and must show voters it can deliver real changes. This is from the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting.
And so this is the Caerphilly by-election which happened, and where Labour really had... I mean, Labour has been triumphant in Wales literally since the beginning of being able to vote in Wales, and also this seat that kind of has been Labour since 1918 is now under Plaid Cymru. And I think that what Streeting was trying to do was say, well, Hartlepool happened, this other by-election in 2021, where Keir Starmer kind of then, you know, shook up his cabinet and really, you know, changed and transformed and became a Prime Minister from there. But I think what we kind of have to remember is we're now on reset 6.5. So I think the idea that another reset is really going to allow the government not to be in a series of cataclysmic, you know, mistakes, errors, because I think it has no ultimate sense of purpose. And I think this relates to the story we were just talking about, where you can do unpopular things if you're driving in a particular direction. But if your only objective is to, quote unquote, win an election, then you're adrift, because you can't be popular with everyone. So what you've got to do is govern well. And that is patently what the government is not doing.
That's something the new deputy leader is... Lucy Powell is saying that exactly what she wants to do is to provide a sense of purpose.
I mean, again, honestly, my heart goes out to everybody involved, really. And in fact, the Wes Streeting's comments are sort of like a Rorschach test, because on the one hand, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but, you know, when you look at one of those vases, and on the one hand, it could be seen as a statement for support for Starmer, to say, look what happened after Hartlepool. You know, Starmer was nearly ousted, but he went on to win an election with, you know, huge majority. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen now. And on the other hand, you could say he's rolling the pitch as the kind of centrist candidate to take over from Starmer, with Angela Rayner. I think so, with Angela Rayner as his deputy, because not Angela Rayner, but Lucy Powell as his deputy, because she's not going to be ousted anytime soon. And you know, her election is the opposite of helpful to Keir Starmer, because obviously, you know, she doesn't have collective responsibility anymore. She was fired from the cabinet. She's not a member of the cabinet now. And although she's making sort of vaguely supportive noises, I think we can all assume that she is, you know, going to be speaking very, very loud and clear on behalf of more left-wing members of the party, which is probably most members of the party. So,
well, what did you think of the shots this afternoon, where they were embracing each other, Keir Starmer and Bridget Phillipson?
I thought of Lady Macbeth. I mean, look, they have to do that, don't they? And they were, I'm sure, of course, these people are sort of friendly. They were, she said, you know, they both said they're friends of each other, but it's quite hard to be friends with someone when you've been fired by them. So I think everybody's going to put a brave face on it. And I'm sure many members of Labour will be very happy with Lucy Powell's election. Of course, it's yet another, arguably, nail in the coffin for Keir Starmer, or at least his project, whatever that might be. So again, I mean, I sound like, you know, someone just speaking at people's funeral all the time, but I do think, I genuinely feel, you know, I want Labour to succeed, but, and I think the lot they have inherited is very, very tough, but I don't think they're making a very good fist of it.
And we move on to another possibly negative story about the government. This is on the front of the Mail. The Chancellor could be hitting homeowners with a new mansion tax.
Yes, I think that it's on the proposals. It's going to be properties worth $2 million and above who will have a 1% charge. So basically, if you own a £3 million property, you'll pay £10,000 in every single year, which is not an inconsiderable amount of money. So what's really interesting about this, you know, and they've called it, I'm fascinated by this phrase, soak the rich, which I've not really heard very much. I presume because I don't know what you're getting from the soaking, but anyway.
I've never heard
so
that phrase.
the idea, I mean, the issue is this going to be very crude? Is it going to raise very much money? Because the thing we all know is that the thing that raises considerable and more stable amounts of revenue are things that come from a broad base of tax in a sort of tiny amount, rather than little hills, little mountains on specific individuals, which can have adverse consequences. And the government's bind that it's in around its tax pledges means it may look for more and more of these, what they will call the wealthy, but actually may have adverse impacts on growth or distort the housing market in ways that are unhelpful. So this could end up being cataclysmic, both politically but also fundamentally to their more important mission around house building, growth and getting the economy moving.
Christina, very quickly, the Conservatives calling it class-based and counterproductive.
Well, everything's counterproductive to the other group, isn't it? I mean, there aren't vast numbers of... I would be interested to know how many houses there are in London, over 2 million, because obviously in the country it would be not all that many, but for those who have a 2 million house, then that 10,000 quid would be totally unaffordable. You know, many people are asset-rich and income-poor, and they might have bought their house in the 1960s and it might be worth an absolute fortune now. So this doesn't look like a sensible strategy to me at all. They're going to have to raise income tax, basically.
We shall see. Not long to wait. 26th of November, and we shall know all. Christina and Anita, thank you very much for the moment. Going to take a break. Coming up, amongst the stories we'll be discussing is the historic debate in Parliament to strip Prince Andrew of his titles for good. That's on the front of the Times. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm David Blevins, one of Sky's US correspondents, based in Washington, D.C.
Conor, what did you say to the President? What did you say?
He's had a great meeting with him. He's a great man.
David Blevins from Sky News. Fire chiefs say that they're really stretched to the limit and running out of water. What have you got to say to that? Sky News in the UK. Why do you think the President should intervene on Iran?
I think Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon is an acute threat to the national security of the United States.
Free wherever you get your news.
I'm Stuart Ramsey, and I'm Sky's chief correspondent.
An enormous explosion has just come down. I think it was a monster just landed in between us.
Hundreds and hundreds of people hoping to get north, ultimately to get to the United States. It's a border where they're not welcome, yet they keep coming.
We saw snatch squads going in, grabbing people, taking them out and putting them into trucks and taking them away.
They make about 50 kilos of fentanyl a week. It's incredibly dangerous and toxic stuff.
There's been an upsurge in deaths. The fighting between the gangs is getting more and more vicious.
Is this now all your territory?
Yeah.
The battlefield is outside the barricades, which is over there.
This is much more like a normal town.
It's really sending a clear message that Venezuela is eager for change.
We're being crushed. Free from wherever you get your news. We are in the middle of a forest, in a jungle really, and they're attempting to keep these men alive. This is real, hardcore emergency medicine. The information on this could bring down the entire network, not just in Iraq and Syria, but across the world. Sky News, the full story first.
Well, hundreds of thousands of people have been using the beast for years to traverse Mexico, but it is really dangerous. Many people have died riding it.
We arrive. A secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war. This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's future.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away.
So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
we've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. I'm ready. Are you? Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. Still with me, journalist and author Christina Patterson and former Conservative Special Advisor Anita Boateng. Let us take a look at the Sunday Telegraph and the story which has been our lead story since last night. The freed Epping sex offender, Hadish Kabatu, tried to hand himself in but was rejected. That's the headline. We spoke to a delivery driver outside HMP Chelmsford who confirmed that and said that he spent about 90 minutes asking where should he go, what should he do, and he was directed to the train station by prison officers. Incredible.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I'm going to add to my long list of people that I am feeling sorry for this evening and say I actually feel slightly sorry for him. And obviously, you know, what he did in sexually assaulting a teenager was, you know, bad, and he should have been in prison because it was a crime. I suspect there might have been a cultural issue there. He may not have realised that it absolutely is a crime to touch someone without their, you know, and talk about making babies with them. Who knows? Who knows what he thought or didn't think? Either way, in our country's law, it was a crime and he was right to be sent to prison, and he knew he was being deported under a new law. And according to this story, according to a delivery driver at the prison, as you say, Gillian, he tried for 90 minutes to get himself deported and failed and was put on a train. And it seems he's turned up pretty much on my doorstep because he's just down the road. He was last seen just down the road from me. And if he turned up at my house, I would say, come on in, let us call the police and we will sort this out, because he wants to go back to Ethiopia.
That's absolutely what you should not be saying.
I don't actually believe he's dangerous. What's that? Is that him being caught?
That's when he was arrested.
Oh, that's when he was arrested. I don't... what he did was awful, but my current belief now is I very much doubt that he is dangerous, as in he's going to kill somebody. I suspect he's in a total state of panic, doesn't know what to do, and is, you know, and is very, very confused. And I hope he sees the police appeals for him to turn himself in, and I hope that's what happens.
But we must reinstate the fact that he is a convicted sex offender.
Absolutely.
And the police are saying not to approach him.
No, well,
dial 999.
Fair enough. I would make him stand outside while I called the police in that case.
Anita?
I don't quite know what to say. No, I think that ultimately he definitely, you know, this is a massive, massive, massive mistake. And I think that I cannot imagine the government and others not being hauled in front of certainly the House of Commons, but made to answer a lot of questions. And this is not unusual. I'm a former government special advisor in the Ministry of Justice. That unfortunately you do have instances where people are, you know, there's confusion about release, but it's extraordinary to me. And I think the real concern amongst the public will be that, like, does the state function? And this is a real big problem for Labour if they are seen not to be able to have a grip, because you could not make this story up. No. And I think that where I agree with you, Christina, is that, like, obviously he was confused by what happened too, because obviously his expectation was he would be removed. And so it's not like he tried to walk out of the prison or tried to escape in any way. But nevertheless, like, officials, the police have to get a grip. They've made a direct appeal to him, but I think they need to start getting on the streets and finding him, because this is a risk to public safety. I think that he has been jailed for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl, and ultimately he is due to be deported. And I think that a sign of the state being able to function is being able to, first of all, you know, not make these kinds of mistakes, but absolutely to rectify them as soon as possible. This is a real problem for the question that government faces day in and day out that we've been effectively getting at in these papers. Does this state function? Does Britain work?
Well, according to Nigel Farage, he says Britain is broken, and Kemi Badenoch says...
and Keir Starmer says it isn't, and so he has to show it isn't. That's what he said in his conference speech.
We're running out of time, so I just want to fast forward to the story in the Times that we previewed, and this is Andrew facing humiliation in the Commons. There's going to be a historic MPs debate to strip him of his titles for good. Christina?
Well, he's just made mistake after mistake after mistake. And if, as is alleged, he did have sex with Virginia Giuffre, then that was rape under the law of the land in the country where the sexual act took place, if it took place. He has very clearly lied about a number of different things because the emails that were released, I think, last week showed that he lied about being in touch with Jeffrey Epstein again. And he has shown no remorse, and even the statement he was strong-armed into making about renouncing his titles talked about doing the right thing as he always did. He just cannot stop himself always claiming that he is some kind of hero and saint when he is the exact opposite. So I'm afraid the entire country has lost patience with him and lost patience during a cost of living crisis with a man who does nothing, who has been funded by the taxpayer most his life, who's done nothing but abuse that power and mingle with super rich men, in very unsavoury super rich men. And I think people are very keen to see him evicted now from his comfortable mansion.
We'll just bring Anita in on that. We've only got about 20 seconds, but that's the next thing, to evict him from royal law.
I do think the royal family just has to say to him, you've got to leave this place. And I think that would be the end of it, because I think this is a humiliation upon a humiliation, both for him, but also the royal family as a whole.
Anita and Christina, thank you so much for taking us through the papers. We shall see you in the 11 o'clock hour. Thank you. Coming up, Sky News at 11 with all the latest.
I witnessed the complete destruction of a place linked to my childhood memories.
This is insane.
I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I felt awe when we saw the mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
We call him the king of the jungle. This is the alpha silverback.
Sky News, get the full story first.
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's International Affairs Editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling.
It's not his country, it's ours.
Sky News, the full story first, free wherever you get your news. It's half an hour now past the deadline that Hamas issued, and we've now seen a third barrage of rockets coming in